Having another look at the Mazda 3. Once again, for those of you who live in the United States, in Canada we call it Mazda, not Mazda, so I am saying it correctly. This is a Canadian review. Good to have you join us though. We're going to talk about the GT trim of the Mazda 3 this time around, and it's also the sedan, not the hatchback. The last video I did a review on the 2-liter base engine in the sport trim. That's the 4-door hatchback version. This one is the sedan. Now the GT is a nice car because you get an engine upgrade, you get wheel upgrades, you get a lot of other upgrades, but it's not inexpensive. This car starts at $25,800 to get the GT in the sedan. If you want it in the sport or the hatchback version, it's $26,800. That's the starting price. Then you add on features. But the GT comes nicely equipped, even though it's a bit expensive. The larger engine, of course, you get the 6-speed automatic transmission, you get sport mode, more on that in a moment. You get bi-xenon HID headlights with leveling, and you also get LED signature lights in the front and LED lights in the back. 18-inch alloy wheels, an integrated key system, which is nice, voice-activated navigation, Bose premium stereo, and a bunch more. The car you see here has $4,000 of additional equipment added on. The luxury package on the inside, it gets you the really nice looking leather seats. It also gets you the leather door cards and a bunch of other nice features. It makes it really luxurious. Then you get the technology package, which gives you blind spot warning and cross traffic warning systems, which I typically don't like in a lot of modern cars. But that jumps the price up just under $30,000 for a compact car. That is expensive. So this GT interior is similar, obviously, to the regular 2-liter version. Has a couple of nice features that I like. The first is the automatic climate control. I found with the regular car it was a bit fiddly moving back and forth. Automatic climate control definitely is a nice feature. This car's got the heads-up display. Not sure I'm crazy about that. It's not heads-up enough, if you ask me. It should be farther up in the dash because the distance from there to the regular speedometer really isn't that far. I would splash out the $1,500 to get these nice-looking seats. They really do offset the car, especially when you get the contrasting colors. Now the back seat is the same as the hatchback. The doors are high, the windows are small, and that creates a problem for kids being able to look out and maybe get sick. When I was changing the cars from the 2-liter to this GT, I asked them about something that was driving me crazy. Now on the radio here, it's got this sort of iPad application on the dashboard. You can get into the radio, of course, but what I was wondering is how do you scroll through the stations like you would with an iDrive system or MMI from Audi? So there's a little star here on the right-hand side of the controller, and that's your favorites. Once you push that button, you can rotate through the radio stations just like BMW or Audi. But once you select a station, that disappears, and you go back to the regular screen. If you want to get back to it, you have to push the star button again. I wish it could just stay on there and be on all the time. But that's good to know that it wasn't the car, it was actually me and not knowing how to use the system. So got some clarification on that. Now on the radio, I gave the 2-liter some slack because I thought it might be just that car. But the exact same thing is happening with this car. So it's obviously a common trait with these Mazda 3 products, is that the FM reception is horrible, absolutely bad. The top end treble and the way that the station is received, it fades in, it fades out, the volume goes down, the volume goes up, the high end treble goes up and down. When you stop, you get the full stereo effect and it sounds good. As soon as you start driving again, you get all of this interference and it really isn't good. The stereo on its own, when you pair it with your phone, it sounds fantastic, but the FM reception is nasty. That is not a common thing with other cars that I test drive. It's actually to the point where I'm bringing it up and it's noticeable. Radio problems really are common, but this one is particularly bad. So check it out. If you listen to FM radio all the time, make sure you try that out before you buy. Now the GT trim gets a bigger engine. Instead of 2 liters, it's a 2.5-liter Skyactiv direct injection 4-cylinder engine, 184 horsepower, 185 foot-pounds of torque. And I didn't mention it in the regular review I did of the 2-liter, but it's both engines run on regular gasoline, even though they have a 12-to-1 compression ratio. In Europe, they have a 13-to-1 compression ratio because they have much better regular grade pump gas. So we get 12-to-1, runs on regular, and you get all of that power from a direct injection engine. On top of that, the GT gets a nice feature. There's a sport mode in the center console. You hit that, it changes the parameters of the automatic transmission to get you more aggressive shifts. In addition, there's paddle shifters behind the steering wheel, once again, to make the transmission more lively. All of this to get around the fact that this car is not available with a manual transmission. You want a manual, you want to roll your own gears, you've got to get the 2-liter base engine. You want the higher horsepower, more aggressive, a car that takes advantage of the bigger wheels and tires, has a fabulous platform, handles wonderfully, has a more powerful engine. No, you got to go with the automatic, and it really doesn't make any sense to me. But how does it drive compared to the base 2-liter that I drove last time? Well, the first thing you notice is the almost 30 horsepower bump up to 184 horsepower over 155. That is noticeable. The car feels a little bit more planted and solid on the road. Once again, the bigger wheels and tires. The steering feels a little bit more direct and not as vague on center. But is this car worth the jump for somebody that's looking for a regular, average, everyday commuter? I say no. The 2-liter is fantastic, and it really surprised me how good that engine is with the automatic transmission as well. I liked it a lot. This car feels a little bit more substantial, definitely sportier with the bigger engine, but it's more money. And you have to decide whether you're motivated about having the best and the most powerful or a sensible option. Now, the initial batch of these cars are from Japan, but they have a factory that's just opened up in the basically the new year of 2014 in Mexico, and we're going to get a supplement of Mexican-made cars. And let's hope when we have that new capacity for Mazda that they're going to be able to add in a manual transmission on the GT model. Right now, that's not the case. Great car. Is it worth the extra money? If it was me, I wouldn't spend the extra dough. If I'm in the $30,000 range, I'd probably splash out for a GTI that starts at 27 grand. But this car is a lot of fun to drive, well put together, and nicely executed.